Okay, we're talking about the cultural.
The cultural thing, which of course has to begin with the military thing. Uh, the United States, and this as a matter of fact, has never lost a military engagement in our whole history. Let me repeat that. We have never lost a military engagement in our history, including Vietnam, which is like lost, in the files of never want to be. We didn't lose the war in Vietnam. We gave away the war in Vietnam because it's an American cultural thing. We always wanted to give other people a chance. After World War II, we had the Marshall Plan. We were the only nation, you can never cite any other nation in history, that goes in and deliberately rebuilds the nations it's just destroyed. Germany and Japan. Germany was obliterated. Japan, obliterated. Nuked, in fact.
Yes.
And we go in, and it's like, and we fix it. The greatest military power in the whole history on Earth. I'm not going to apologize for that usage again. We went in and we fixed it. We fixed them. Astonishing. I'm reminded of a book that I used as a source of inspiration long ago called 1066 and all that, which is about the Brits' history in the world. And it had succinct listings like Zulu uprising, solution, Zulus destroyed. No, no, Zulus exterminated, actually. And that was the Brits' whole view of everything. It was the Romans' view of everything. It's a view of every empire that's ever existed, except for the American Empire, which comes in as spends a lot of money, and makes everything all better. Probably one of the greatest incidents in history was the American occupation of Japan. General Douglas MacArthur, the most vilified figure in American history, because Truman fired him. Oh, why did he fire him? Because he was going to take out the Chinese, the Red Chinese. Okay, we should have done that probably, but Truman said no. But when MacArthur took over Japan, what did he do? Oh my God, so many things he did. He did not wear his tie when he went to the surrender. He was not trying to subjugate the Japanese. He went in unarmed. All of his people, his peoples, what we call it now.
Staff.
No, I'm talking about now. His people said,
Pibbles. His pibbles.
Pipples, okay.
Pibbles.
Said, don't. And he said, no. I understand the Japanese people, and they are not at war anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So he walks in totally unarmed to Japan. He accepts their surrender without a tie. He goes to meet Hirohito without a tie, because he is showing that he is only a soldier. And he does not bow. I mean, it's this delicate balancing of things that he understands. because he understands who the Japanese people are. They can stand to be defeated. They do not want to be subjugated. He does neither. He comes in as a soldier. We won. Then he writes. Then he writes the Constitution of Japan. And you can say, what an appalling thing. I mean, an occupier writes the Constitution that he's going to leave behind. And it is a beautiful piece of work. And people say, oh, this proves that MacArthur did not actually believe in the American Constitution because he didn't get an American Constitution. And the fact of the matter is, he gave the Japanese the Constitution they needed. Parliamentary. They have a prime minister, not a Tojo. They don't need a substitute emperor, which is what, the American president actually is. So he gave them a parliamentary democracy. That was brilliant. And this is the way America has behaved across the world, everywhere we've been. We go in, it's like, what do we do in Germany? We give them a parliamentary democracy too, because you do not want a figure that's like the President of the United States. And the problem is, of course, it gets copied. It's like everybody becomes a parliamentary democracy. And Germany did not need a United States Constitution because they would have had another Hitler. We replicated this success all across the world. So now we have all these crippled parliamentary democracies, which is actually, that would be like MacArthur's fault. Except that it's actually a very good idea. They all need crippled parliamentary democracies in order to avoid what we're looking at with the EU. We have a very bad totalitarian government, which fortunately is ruled by prime ministers. That's so that we got the most brilliant example I've yet heard from Britain. By an actor, Michael Caine, whom I have always loved, by the way, so dial that in. Better to be poor in Brexit than rich in EU. Freedom is important. And the Brits struck their thing with Neville Chamberlain back in 1938. If he had been a man, and they already had their parliamentary democracy back then, if Neville Chamberlain had been a man, Czechoslovakia would have crushed the infant Nazi Germany. Written in stone. Czechoslovakia had twice the number of divisions Germany did. But, parliamentary. Peace. Peace at all costs. America has never actually been run by that principle. And that's the failure of America to escape the Monroe Doctrine. They needed us. Because we were the only people on earth who had the power and the economic might to go fix things everywhere that people asked us to. It's an astonishing fact that In 1900, America was the richest nation on earth. And people kept looking to us. Come save us. Come help us. It's like, we're in trouble. Right? This is 1900. It's like, how many years is that from the American Revolution? How many years is that from the 1812 thing?
More.
And the real lesson that the English learned from the War of 1812 was not the peace that we negotiated with them. It was that Andrew Jackson slaughtered 3,000 British troops, and the closest equivalent to the slaughter of the three legions in Germany that ever happened. I'm talking about,
The Romans.
the Romans. What he said was, Jackson said, was like, you come here, we will kill you. Then, the lesson they should have learned, and they never did. They failed to learn from the American Civil War, when we taught the whole world what modern war looked like. The greatest generals in history were not. No, they were not Napoleon or Alexander. They were boys from Ohio named Grant and Sherman, which is modern war is total war, and we will destroy everything you have. Now, if the Europeans had learned this, they would have been able to avoid the farce that Barbara Tuchman described in The Guns of August, where Germany marches in, surrounds Paris from the behind, and then the French march into Germany and then everyone has to scramble back into their previous positions and fight on the Western Front in trenches for 4 years. Now, the guy who was the master of trench warfare was a silly fellow named Grant from Ohio. And he got out of the trenches and he fought his way all the way down into Virginia and he killed the motherfuckers. That's how you win the war. It's how the Americans won the war when they got over in 1918. They got out of the trenches, went over, and they killed the motherfuckers. End of war. So, okay. Cultural factor. Okay. Stay tuned for part 3, cultural factor.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, we're not doing cultural yet.